What up, what up, what up, Lakers Nation? Welcome back to Lakers Daily, your playing edition of Lakers Daily, if you will. Or the Lakers don't have to worry about the play-in, so I don't know if we titled it that, but here we are, your Tuesday edition of Lakers Daily. We are, what, 4 days away from the Lakers kicking off their 2025 playoff run. Of course, your Los Angeles Lakers, they currently sit at the 3 seed. They finished the season at the 3 seed, 50 wins on the season. So shout out to JJ Redick and his coaching staff. Came in as a rookie and got 50 wins. They finished the season 50-32. Of course, they rested everyone in that Portland game, so that was an L. But 50-32, their last 10, they went 6-4. And that was enough to claim the 3 seed. And remember, it was tight. It was a tight race, but they got the job done. And now we look forward to a postseason run. 16 wins. That's it. 16 wins. By hook or by crook, get those 16 wins, and you'll be the last team standing. That's all it takes in the playoffs. So I don't care about the 50 wins. I don't care about any of that. Yeah, it was good enough to get us to the 3 seed. But now we're focused on 16 wins for the first time since 2021. The Lakers are not a play-in team. So tonight we get to sit back and we get to chill. We get to watch play-in basketball tonight, tomorrow, and on Friday. Uh, and yeah, we really get to chill. We don't have to be stressing out. And of course, the Lakers, since 2021, they've been the 7 seed each of those years, and they won that 7-8 matchup and went to the playoffs to play the 2 seed. But now we locked in the 3 seed. That's one of the benefits of the 3 seed. Major benefit is you know who you're playing. You don't have to sit back and wait. The Lakers knew who they were playing on Sunday before it was all said and done. Now they did have to watch on Sunday and wait. They had to wait to see a little bit because we know all those seeds were so tied up. So every win mattered, every loss mattered. Right, but they had opportunity to face Golden State. Had Golden State beat the Clippers, but they lost that game. So now here we are. We get the 49-33 6-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. So there's your first round matchup: Lakers versus Timberwolves, a 50-win team versus a 49-win team. And Minnesota, they're actually one of the hottest teams in the NBA, which we're going to talk about since February, or sorry, since March and April. The last couple of months, they've been playing some really good basketball. So don't look at this as an easy series. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. This is the best possible matchup, in my opinion, that the Lakers, out of all the teams they could have faced, not named Memphis. Memphis was, I think, they were the easiest team to face. I think that's the team that a lot of Lakers Nation wanted to see. But this is the second best team, considering the alternatives in Golden State. You didn't want that in the first round, but I think we'll see that in the second round, which we'll talk about when we talk about the Lakers' path to the finals. Or you could have Denver there. I think Minnesota is the best situation, if you will. I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy series. I'm not saying Minnesota is not a good team, because I don't believe that at all. However, I do believe that was the best option. But again, 49-33. So shout out to them. You're going to get Ant versus Luka, and a lot of other storylines, built-in storylines there. Of course, Luka saw this matchup last year. He faced Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals, and he had his way against this squad. He had his way, which we'll get into, but he sent them home in 5. Some programming notes. One, remember, we're here every day of the week, right here on Bleacher Report, Lakers Daily, every day of the week, Monday through Friday, all throughout the playoffs. So as long as this thing goes, we will be here. And we're hoping that we're here. We're pushing it all the way through mid-June. But we are here every single day. So remember that, make a pin on that. Make sure you guys are here. If you're watching a replay, make sure you catch the replays, whatever the case may be. Quick programming note, though. Lakers game 1, of course, it will be in LA. The Lakers do have home court advantage for the first round. That series kicks off on Saturday. So Saturday. So round one begins this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The Lakers play Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. So go ahead and jot that down or make a mental note of that, so you don't miss it. All right. So it's going down on Saturday. It sucks. I'm going to miss game one. I'll be in Vegas for WrestleMania. That sucks. But yeah, of course, we'll be here covering it all on Saturday. So quick note there. And yeah, man, let's dive right into this matchup. We're going to talk about the matchup a little bit. We're going to talk about the Lakers' path. We're going to talk about the rest of the league, the rest of the first round matches, all of that. So let's get it, man. Again, Luka did see this matchup last year on their road. It was the final stop on their road to the finals, and Minnesota they won that series. Or sorry, they lost that series. So Dallas won that series in five. So they won it I think 4-1. And Luka dominated, man. They had no answer for Luka. He averaged 32 points, 32, 9, and 8. Those are his averages in the Western Conference Finals last year. So he had his way, and Minnesota, they had no answers for him, man. In Minnesota, they're a good defensive team, a really good defensive team. In fact, they're ninth defense since yeah, they're the ninth ranked defense coming in this year. But I think you're going to see some of the same. I just don't think they have an answer for Luka. So let's start there. The greatness that is Luka Doncic. They don't have an answer. They have some great perimeter defenders. In McDaniels, Nicole Alexander Walker. But those guys are just too small. They're just not big enough to slow Luka down. Last year you saw McDaniels on Luka, and he's just not big enough. Luka just like get in the gym, bro. You're just not on my level, right? And I think that's the case this year. Now, obviously, they have Julius Randle. That's the big difference between this year's Minnesota team, last year's Minnesota team. Cat is gone. They insert Julius Randle. So Julius Randle is a big defender. He's a big physical defender. So we'll see if we see that matchup a lot. If we see Julius on Luka some right now, I think Julius might not be fast enough. He may be a little too slow. But that's another body that they can throw at Luka. They're going to have to all hands on deck, all bodies on deck. But for their main perimeter defenders, they're just too small. Then of course you got Ant. You'll see some of Ant on Luka, but even then, Luka's a lot bigger than Ant, man. And Ant is a hell of a defender, right? Hell of a defender, two-way player. But I just don't. He's too small. So how would they defend Luka? That's the biggest thing we want to see here, right? We saw Luka torch them in that conference finals, and I think that's going to be the game plan for the Lakers moving forward. In this series, Luka just he's going to have to dominate. He's going to dominate, man. And they can blitz him, try to get the ball out of his hands, but do you really want to do that and have LeBron or AR, running that 4-on-3 downhill? I just don't know, man. There's a lot of matchup problems that the Lakers propose, not just Luka, but LeBron as well. LeBron is a big body also. Same thing, those perimeter defenders, they're just not big enough. And then Rudy Gobert, we saw Luka hunt Rudy last year, right? Rudy is a great defender, former defensive player of the year, but this matchup is going to be tight for him, man. We saw Luka hunt Rudy. And I think you're going to see that again this entire series. And it's just bad news. It is bad news. It really is, right? Rudy loves to play that drop coverage, but can you really do that against Luka? Luka, as of late, he's gotten his touch back, right? That final game that he played in against Houston, a must-win game for the Lakers to clinch that 3 seed, he had his touch. And that's something that we've been waiting to see from Luka. Of course, the 3 ball, it's been there, but his touch around the rim, the 2-pointers, right, the mid-range game, all that makes Luka so dangerous. Those shots were dropping. So does Rudy really want to play that drop coverage, right? if he's not going to play that drop coverage, that means he's coming out to the perimeter and playing out in space. And I think it's just all bad. It's all bad. So they have a big problem. Not just Luka. We talked about LeBron and then AR also. We've seen the big three, and I think the Lakers are going to try to dominate that big three. They're going to try to dominate in this series. And you know, this Minnesota, they have some serious matchup problems. Who's matching up against who, right? Of course, Luka, LeBron, those are your two biggest factors in this matchup. But Mike Conley, if you're playing Mike Conley a lot, which I think Minnesota they're going to do at least to start. Who's Mike Conley guarding? He obviously can't guard Luka or LeBron. He's too small. Do you really put him on? Do you put him on Rui? I don't think so. I think he's going to be on AR. AR is going to cook Mike Conley. I'm sorry, he just is. So there's a lot of matchup problems. Now the Lakers have matchup problems as well, which we'll get into, but there's a lot of matchup problems. So I think those big three, they absolutely have to dominate this Minnesota defense. And again, this is a good Minnesota, a good team defensively. I'm giving Minnesota a ton of credit. Since March, in the months of March and April, the last 21 games of the season, they went 17-4. So you cannot discredit that at all. That's a good team. That's a really good team. 17-4 during that stretch. Again, the West was just really tight. So 17-4, and they still finished the 6th seed. That tells you how tight the Western Conference was, right? Because everyone was balling. Houston was balling. The Lakers, they were doing their thing. The Clippers, they were balling. The Warriors, they were so everyone was balling, but 17-4, that's like the best record during that stretch over the last 21 games. So you cannot take this team light. You cannot. It's going to be a tough series. Again, they have tough players. And, right, we talked about the mismatches that the Lakers have. Well, of course, the Lakers, they're going to have a huge Ant problem because they don't really have anyone to guard Ant. They just don't. That guy is just not on this roster. So we'll see what they do. Dorian Finney-Smith, I think he'll match up against Ant a lot. Vando, do you play Vando? I don't know if this is the Vando series, but when he is out there, I think he'll be on Ant. So we'll see. I'd love to see what that looks like. And of course, the two of them had some exchange this season. Ant told Vando, he was injured at the time, and he told him, "You've been injured for the past 2 seasons." So he was talking that mess. Of course, Vando, we know everything gets under his skin. He plays with that chip on his shoulder. So that'll be an interesting matchup when we see it. I just don't know how much we'll see it. I don't know how playable Vando is during the series. But again, it's going to be all hands on deck to slow down Ant. Ant proposes tremendous problem. That pull-up three that he's mastered, that's going to be on full display. And we know he has a lot to prove. He has a lot on his shoulders. He's their guy. Cat is gone, so he's the guy. It's a lot. He's going to have to be their lead playmaker. So it's a lot that Ant has to carry in this series for them to have any shot. And I think he'll have his games where he goes off. I do believe he will. But what do the Lakers do? The Lakers are a switching team. They don't really blitz a lot. They switch a lot, right? But Ant, if you switch on Ant, he's gonna eat up everyone, right? The Lakers' strategy against these elite guards, the elite offensive guards, has kind of been to kind of direct them to the sideline, if you will, right? And you have that help defender there coming on that strong side and kind of direct them into that. But if you do that with Ant is good enough where you can send two bodies, you can send that help at him. But if you give him that running lane, if you will, that takeoff lane, if you that valley, he's going to eat that alive. He's going to take that. He's going to eat that, and he's good enough to finish around the rim. He's athletic enough to finish around the rim. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Or do you just come out the gate and just blitz and try to get the ball out of his hands, right, and make everyone else beat you? I think the Lakers have a huge advantage there if they do that because Ant. With the double team, he's gotten better, but he's gotten better over the season. But remember, he complained about the double teams earlier in the season, and Can Ant make all those passes? If he's your lead playmaker, can he make all those passes? And can everyone else knock down shots? Of course, the Lakers' philosophy or their strategy defensively is to pack the paint and leave leave that three ball open. They designate some guys who they feel are not the best 3-point shooters, and they kind of live or die by those guys making those shots. Is that something we're going to see here in this series again? Pack the paint and leave those shooters open. Maybe you leave a Julius Randle open. Maybe you leave a Nah open. McDaniels open. You leave these guys open and play it by that way. But this team, they've been shooting the ball good as of late. During this 21 game stretch where they went 17-4, they've been knocking down their shots. So is that going to be in play in this series? Because for Minnesota to have an opportunity to win this series or an upset in this series or even to get it to 6 or 7 games, they're going to have to knock down some shots, right? They just are. So if they're knocking down their shots, what type of adjustments are you going to make defensively, right? What type of adjustments are you going to make, with Ant, right? So it's going to be a lot of chess matchups here, right? And I'm ready to see it. I want to see JJ and his staff, the chess moves and the adjustments that they're going to make during this series. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun series, a very fun series here. Now, we don't have it's hard because we don't have these two teams. We didn't see these two teams, so it's going to be something new. Obviously, they're conference opponents, division opponents, all that, right? So they had 4 matchups against each other, but 2 of the matchups came in December, right? 2 of the matchups came in December, and in those matchups, that was an entirely different team by the Lakers, right? That was AD and D'Lo and all those guys. So entirely different team. And then they've had one matchup since the Luka trade on February 27th. However, there was no Rudy Gobert in that matchup and no Julius Randle in that matchup. So this is going to be a fresh look. And that's also the game that Rui got hurt. He hurt his knee. In that game also, Ant got ejected in the third quarter. He only played 26 minutes in that game. So you can't really look back at that game. Now, they did split the series 2-2 this year. However, I guess in that February 27th, you try to take as much as you can out of that. What can we really take out of that matchup? You saw a lot of Ant on LeBron in that matchup, right? You saw Conley on AR, a lot of Conley on AR in that matchup. We talked about that. If Conley's on the court, I think AR is the only guy he can really guard. So how does that look? How does AR look against Conley? I think that's a mismatch in the Lakers' favor there. So we'll see. We'll see. A lot of good looks by the Lakers were generated in that February 27th matchup. They just weren't really knocking them down, which we saw that a lot. But as of late, we've seen those shots fall. So again, that's a major strength for the Lakers against anyone. It's the looks that they're going to generate, the 3-point looks that they're going to generate. So they did that. They were doing that back then in February. The shots just weren't falling. So now again, the shots are falling. So let's create those looks and let's knock down the shots. So that's something we want to see, and something that another thing that you can take away from that matchup that Minnesota's definitely going to do in this series. They're going to hunt Luka and they're going to hunt AR. They did it a lot in that particular matchup, and they're going to do it a lot this entire series. So how can the Lakers hide those two, or how can the Lakers cover those two, if you will? So there's going to be a lot of that. Where else? Where we want to go now? So again, there was no Rudy Gobert in that matchup, no Julius Randle in that matchup. Julius Randle has been balling. I think for Minnesota, he's their biggest X factor in this series. He just does. He can do so much. Now, Julius, he struggled in the playoffs. He struggled in the postseason. Every opportunity that he's had. So can he exercise those postseason demons If he can, then that puts them in a great position because when Julius is balling, Minnesota is really, really good. And over these last 21 games, he's been balling. And he's a big reason why they've gone 17-4 over these last 21. Again, he just does so much. I mean, he can bring the ball up court. Uh, he's a mismatch, with his body size. He can initiate offense. He can create his own shot for him, for his teammates. That's something Cat couldn't really do. He wasn't a shot creator like Randall is. Now, he was a floor spacer. He spaced the floor more than Julius does, but Julius can space the floor. If he has that 3-point, going, knocking down those threes, which he's had as of late, then yeah, it's going to get tight and it's going to be tough for the Lakers. But I think they're going to leave Julius open. I think they're going to give him the opportunity to make shots. That Memphis game, a couple of games before the season ended, a game that they had to win, he was 5 of 10 from three, 5 of 10 from three. So if it's going, he's a streaky guy. He can get hot. He's capable of knocking them down. So we'll see. We'll see. That can be big. Really, really big. And then defense, we talked about it earlier, his size defensively. That's a big body that you can put on LeBron. That's a big body that you can put on Luka for stretches. So we'll see. Maybe that's their philosophy. Maybe they'll use Randall on LeBron. In fact, I think that's the matchup you're going to get. I think Julius will be on LeBron. And expand it a little further. I think Julius will be on LeBron. I think Ant is going to be on Luka. Again, those other guys, they're just too small. So I think that's the matchup you're going to get. I think you put McDaniels on Rui, maybe. And then you put Conley on AR, and then you put Gobert on Jackson Hayes when he's out there. I think that's the matchup. Those are the defensive matchups that the Lakers are going to see. So, or maybe you put McDaniels. You put McDaniels on AR. You try to eliminate AR, or try to contain AR as much as possible. That's a really good defensive matchup and a tough matchup for AR McDaniels. But again, then you're going to have Conley on Rui. So I think Conley I think Rui just eats him alive. So Conley defensively, he may be a mismatch here. Yeah, so again, there's going to be a lot of hunting Conley out. So that's something that they're going to have to figure out. Do they play Dante DiVincenzo more? Is this a Dante DiVincenzo series where he plays big minutes like he was playing in New York last year? But he's not the biggest guy either. So there's probably a mismatch there. But that 3-point shooting, Conley gives you 3-point shooting also, and the other thing Conley brings is playmaking, right? Again, Ant is going to have to be the lead playmaker for them to have any sort of chance. He's going to have the ball in his hands. But Conley, he's a vet, and he brings that playmaking as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see their approach, what they do. Now, I think the Lakers are going to play small ball. I just do. And really fast, let me get to their lineup. The Lakers their 15-man playoff lineup. It has been revealed, of course. There's been no conversion of Trey Jemison, no conversion of Christian Coloco, none of that. So Lynn, he keeps that 15th spot, and those guys will not be available. So no Trey Jemison, no Christian Coloco. They're not available for the playoffs, right? Remember, two-way guys, if they're going to be on your playoff roster, you got to convert them over to a regular roster spot, something that the Lakers could have potentially did. A lot of fans wanted them to do, but they didn't do it. So here's your 15-man playoff roster. Of course, it's your 5 starters: LeBron, Luka, AR, Rui, and Jackson Hayes. And then Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Jordan Goodwin, Dalton Knecht, and then Shake Milton, Marquise Morris, Maxi Kleber, Bronny James, and Alex Len. So that's your 15-man playoff roster. So those are the guys who will be going to battle as we try to get these 16 wins. All right. Now I think the roster or the rotation is going to be shrunk. I think it's going to be an 8-man rotation, which means Jackson Hayes. Not Jackson Hayes. Jordan Goodwin. I don't think he's going to play a lot in the playoffs in this particular series. Maybe a minute or two here or there. But I think it's going to be 8-man rotation. So your 5 starters. Then DFS, Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent. I think that's your rotation there. And I think the Lakers are going to go small a lot. I think they're going to play small. Um, they're going to play that death lineup, if you will, right? That 5-out lineup, that lineup of Luka, AR, Rui, LeBron, and DFS. I think that's going to be the Lakers lineup. That's obviously the Lakers' best lineup. That's the lineup down the stretch that they played. They were playing the most. That lineup is plus 19 and a half points per 100 possessions. So that's that's scary. That's scary times. Only now they only had 219 possessions, so it's a very small sample size of that lineup. But that's by far the Lakers' best lineup and the lineup that they lean towards the most. And I think you're going to see that a lot here. I think they're going to. I think that the Lakers are going to play that lineup. They're going to try to play Rudy Gobert off the floor. Now, Chris Finch, Minnesota, they may just leave Rudy out there, but I really think they're going to try to play him out. They're not going to be able to play big. I don't see it. You're not going to play Randall and Rudy, or Nas and Rudy, or whatever the case. Teams have tried to do that against the Lakers, and the Lakers played those guys off the floor. It just didn't work. You saw Houston try to do it with Adams and Sengun and others. You saw Memphis try to do it with Edie and Jackson. Uh, you saw OKC try to do it with Hardenstein and Chet, right? And none of those guys have been able to do it. They kind of played them off the floor with this lineup. Because what happens if you got Rudy out there, if the Lakers go small, they play this death lineup, right? You got Rudy out there. Rudy's going to have to guard those corners. You can't leave those corners open. You cannot leave Rudy open. You cannot leave DFS open. We've seen how that looks. We've seen how that story ends. They're going to make shots. They're going to make shots, period, point blank, right? So you leave Rudy out there, Rudy's going to have to scramble trying to get to those corners, right? He's going to have to scramble trying to get hands in those guys' faces. That lineup, that's legit. I think there's only two teams that really can play a 5-man lineup, a legit 5-man lineup, who can play a 5-out lineup, if you will. And Lakers are one of those teams. Boston's the other, right? With their ability to knock down shots, whether it's Porzingis or Horford or many other guys. So I think you're going to see that a lot, not just this series, but moving forward, for the Lakers as they try to capture these 16 wins, which means a championship. This is the lineup you're going to see. And again, I don't know if this is a Vando series, but again, I think it's going to be a 8-man rotation in this series. I don't think you'll see much of Dalton Connect. I don't think you'll see much of Jordan Goodwin. It's been a 9-man rotation for the Lakers. Of course, in the playoffs, the rotations always shrink, but I think it's going to shrink even more in this particular series, right? What else we got? Some X factors for this series, man. X factors. The Lakers defense. You got to start there. We've seen what this defense can be. You kind of saw the ceiling of this defense, right? You also saw the floor of this defense, how bad it can be. So we got to play more towards that ceiling, right? You saw it for a good month and a half, 2 months. We got to get back towards that. And this is going to be a good opportunity to show what you are defensively, because Minnesota, they're a pretty decent offensive team. Of course, you got Ant there, but they can shoot the three. They shoot a lot of threes. In fact, they're fifth. They're the fifth since the trade deadline and everything. They're the fifth volume. They amount of threes that they jack up. They're fifth ranked in the NBA. The volume, fifth ranked volume, right? And they're like 13th in percentage, shooting percentage, 3-point percentage. So you're going to get a lot of looks offensively. If they're playing Rudy Gobert out there, you're going to get the big look, right? You're going to get the superstar and Ant. You're going to get them shooting a lot of threes. So the defense has to respond. They got to play on that string that we always talk about. They got to be connected. They got to communicate. And they're going to have to play their best basketball. If the defense lacks, then Minnesota has a great opportunity to upset the Lakers and win this series, right? But if the Lakers dial in defensively, the Lakers should advance. They should be able to advance. So that's the biggest X factor, the Lakers defense rebounding. rebounding. Now, again, they got Rudy Gobert, so they can go big. They got Julius Randle. He's a big physical rebounder, and not just them. Nah, is a good rebounder. Nicole Alexander-Walker, right? uh McDaniels, he's a good rebounder. So the Lakers have to rebound the basketball. It's going to be a lot of game rebounding, if you will, right? Guys crashing the boards. We need Luka in double-digit rebounds every night. We need LeBron in double-digit rebounds every night. When Jackson's out there, he has to grab boards. Austin, he's a sneaky good rebounder. We need him. We need everybody, all hands on deck. Rui Hachimura, that big body. You got to grab rebounds, Rui. You can't just play offense. You have to rebound the basketball. And in fact, Rui is another big X factor. His play in this series is going to determine if the Lakers are upset or if the Lakers win this series, or how easily the Lakers win this series, how easily they can advance. Can it be in 5 games or 6 games? Can it be a sweep? If Rui is balling, then this makes this series a lot easier for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's the biggest X factor. He has to knock down his shots, right? If he's knocking down those threes, if he's scoring, if he's having 20-point scoring nights, then this team is going to be impossible to beat, right? But again, if he's playing defense, whoever he's matched up against, whether it's McDaniels or whoever he's matched up, we need some defense from Rui, and we need him to rebound the basketball. So Rui, again, big X factor. When Rui balls, this team balls. So he's a major X factor. And DFS as well. When DFS is out there, if he's knocking down those threes, the Lakers' ability to knock down shots, they're going to get the open looks. They got to knock them down. So that's an X factor in itself. But those two guys, Rui and DFS, we seen when they're on, yeah, good luck. We talk about Randall being an X factor. Naz Reid as well. Naz Reid, we know he steps it up in the playoffs, and we know how he steps it up against the Lakers. So if Naz is balling, he's going to have to ball for Minnesota to have opportunity to win this series. And then Dante DiVincenzo, he's knocking down shots. Not just him, but everybody, all those guys. But he's a guy who can get hot. He's a guy who can get out there and knock down 6, 7, 8 threes in any given night. And if he's doing that, he's going to make it very difficult for the Lakers. But everyone, Minnesota has to knock down the 3-ball. Again, they're 5th in value. The Lakers are 8th in value since acquiring Luka. The Luka Doncic's offense, right? 8th in value, shooting the 3. Minnesota's 5th. They're 5th, so they shoot it even more. And of course, Ant is capable of going out there and knocking down 10 threes any given night. So the Lakers are going to have their hands full. They are going to have their hands full. They really are. Where we want to go next? Again, I'm trying to touch on you got to make Julius Randle go to his right. Everyone knows that. Randle, from his days back, his baby days with the Lakers, we know he's a lefty, and we know he's left hand dominant. Everything he wants to do is to the left. His game his game expands much more when he goes to his left. Make him go to his right. You cannot give up that left. The Lakers defense, they have to direct him to the right, where he's much more predictable and he's much more limited. So that's major. That is major there. The Lakers got to play 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3 stars have to be on the court at all times, whether it's LeBron and Luka, whether it's LeBron and AR, or whether it's Luka and AR. You got to play 2 of those guys on the court at all times, because they just present so many matchup problems when 2 of them are out there. Now we're in the playoffs. Again, I think the rotations are going to shorten a bit. So Luka and AR, those guys got to be 42 minutes a night, 42 plus, right? LeBron, get him as close to 40 minutes a night as possible. The Lakers are going to have rest. They got this week off, right? So everyone should be well rested. Play these guys, play them, have them out there on the court, 2 of the 3 at all times, again, because they just present so many. They present so many problems guarding those guys. So let's do that. Again, going small, but that's something that I believe that the Lakers are going to do in this series and moving forward. So we got to knock down those threes. Knock them down. Knock them down. Where do we want to go next? Again, how does Minnesota attack Luka? Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to blitz him and double him, get the ball out of his hands? What are they going to do? That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. So we'll see how that looks. I keep saying it, the small ball lineup, I don't think Jackson's going to play a lot of minutes in this series. I don't think this is Jackson Hayes' series. Obviously, the Lakers have been moving away from that. He's been playing as little as 12 minutes to, up to what, 15 minutes. He's just really the placeholder starter, if you will. That center, he's going to start, play 4 minutes, pull him. He's going to come back in the second half, play a few minutes, pull him. He's going to come out, start in the third quarter, right, to start the half, and then you may not see him anymore after that. So again, I believe you're going to get that death lineup, if you will, that small ball death lineup. But when he's out there, we're going to need him to do what he's been doing. Be that lob threat, although it's going to be much more difficult with Rudy Gobert out there as a lob threat, with his drop coverage and all that. Or if you put McDaniels, he can play Jackson Hayes. If you do that, he kind of takes away him being. You saw that in that February 27th matchup. They did that stuff. They had McDaniels on Jackson Hayes, and when you do that, it takes away him, being that lob threat. So again, matchups. It's going to be a lot of matchups. It eliminates when McDaniels is on him, and it eliminates him from being that role threat, if you will. So it's going to come down to matchup, man. And then that also frees up Rudy Gobert. It frees up Rudy Gobert a lot to kind of be that free safety, if you will, or that roamer, if you will. So that's something Minnesota might do. Yeah. This is just a tale of two tapes with these teams, right? You got one team, they're undersized, if you will. Although the Lakers aren't really undersized, they're undersized at the 5. But 1 through 4, that's a big team. LeBron is a big body. DFS is a big body. Rui is a big body. Luka is a big body. So they present a lot of mismatches, if you will, with their size. But they're still considered undersized because they're at the 5. They're small there. So you have that. They play a lot of small ball. The insane offensive talent that they have, the insane playmaking talent that they have, the insane shooting that they have. They have the best collection of playmakers in LeBron, Luka, AR. So that's who the Lakers are, right? Defensively, they don't have the best defense, individual defenders, but as a team defense, they're great. So that's who the Lakers are. And then on the flip side, Minnesota, they're a huge team, right? With Gobert and all these guys, even McDaniels, he's tall, right? So that's a big team. They play big, but instead of being an insanely talented offensive team, they're an insanely talented defensive team, if you will, right? And they have flawed guys. They have a flawed collection of playmakers, if you will. So it's the tale of two tapes, two completely different teams. So who's going to be able to impose that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to, the playoffs. Everything's going to tighten up. Everyone knows what each team's weaknesses are, and it comes down to who's going to stop the other team from attacking those weaknesses. That's what the playoffs is all about. You expose a weakness, and you're going to go after it over and over and over, repeatedly, right? Until the other team stops it. That's what the playoffs is going to come down to. So, of course, the Lakers have their issues. Minnesota has theirs. Who's going to be able to stop who, or who's going to execute better? And that's another thing with this Minnesota team. That's where I give the Lakers the edge also, is down the stretch. Minnesota, they lose a lot of games down the stretch. When things tighten up, they lose a lot of games. I don't know why that is. It comes down to Ant is really your only scorer there, so he's really the only guy down the stretch, the guy you're really going to go to. And some of the games I watched, I seen him. He just looked tired down the stretch, and he missed a lot of shots. So down the stretch, it comes down to Ant's shot making, and if he's tired or he's not making his shots, then it comes down to him being that playmaker, that lead playmaker. And I think that's where the Lakers. I can even see where Minnesota, they're making their threes, and they have the the advantage points wise, they outscored the Lakers in quarters 1 through 3, but come down to it down the stretch in that fourth quarter, I can see the Lakers winning every fourth quarter and thus winning the series. I could see something like that happen. I really can. So down the stretch, the Lakers are great. They've been really, really good. Um, uh, in fact, I wrote some stats down here. I don't see it on on my notes, but down the stretch, um, yeah, the Lakers are great. The Lakers are great, and I think that's where I think that they have a huge advantage down the stretch, just with all the guys that they have. You've seen it. You've seen Luka carry games, and then LeBron just hammers it in the fourth quarter, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. Um, yeah, so again, this is going to be a fun series. But my prediction, again, I'm going to give Minnesota some credit. I'm not going to say Lakers in 5. I'm not going to say the Lakers sweep them, although I could very well see that happening. I could see it being over in 5, but I'm going to give Minnesota credit. Again, 17-4 in their last 21. You know, one less win than the Lakers, so it's not like the Lakers are way up here. The West was tight, and Minnesota was right there in the mix. I could very well see Minnesota finishing fourth. You know, and having that 4-5 matchup. So I'm going to give them their credit, and I'm going to say Lakers in 6. So I think the Lakers win their first 2 games at home. They have home court advantage for the first time since 2012. They haven't had home court advantage, of course. In 2020, there was no home court advantage for anyone, although the Lakers would have had home court advantage in that they probably would have had home court advantage throughout the entire playoffs. They probably finished as the number 1 seed in the playoffs that year, but they didn't. We know it is what it is. It doesn't matter. They still got the job done. So I think they're going to be hyped at home. We know the Lakers are a really good team at home this year, way better than on the road. So I think they come out, they get those first 2 wins at home. Then I think they carry that momentum into Minnesota, and I think they go up 3-0. I do. I think the Lakers go up 3-0. But I can see Minnesota winning the next 2. They win that game. They'll win that game in Minnesota. That game was game 4 in Minnesota, and then they'll come and steal one in LA. I think Ant just goes off desperation. They go off. He goes off, and then the Lakers ended in 6 in Minnesota. Or I could see the Lakers win the first 2. Minnesota wins. They split it in Minnesota 1-1. Or Minnesota wins both of those games, and then the Lakers they come home, win 1, and then go back to Minnesota 1-1. I don't know, but I got the Lakers in 6. But I do believe the Lakers win on Saturday. They win that opener, and I think they win the next one. They win those first 2. In order for Minnesota to upset, of course, every series comes down to that. They got to steal one, and I think they got to steal that first one. If they want to upset, I think they have to steal that first game, right? Now you look at the Lakers' path. Of course, we're about to get out of here because the play-in is about to start. We got 2 play-in games tonight. We got 2 7 versus 8. Those 2 games tonight. You got Orlando versus Atlanta. And then you got the big one that I want to watch. Everyone wants to watch is Golden State versus Memphis. So the only other matchup in the West that's locked in is 4 and 5. Lakers. Denver. They'll host the Clippers. They'll have home court advantage against the Clippers. I think that's going to be a hell of a series. I don't know. That was going to be tough, but if I had to pick, I think I'd take the Clippers in that series. Now, I think Golden State wins tonight. If they win tonight, that means they're in the playoffs. That means they claim the 7th seed. So that's what's at stake tonight in both of these games is the 7th seed. In the East, whoever wins that 7th seed, they're going to have to play Boston. So I don't think they're looking forward to that. In the West, though, whoever wins the 7th seed, so whether it's Golden State or Memphis tonight, they're going to match up. They're going to go to Houston. They're going to play Houston in the first round. So that's that matchup. Then you got the 9 and 10s tomorrow. In the West is Dallas versus Sacramento. And then the winner of that will play the loser of tonight's matchup, right? So 7 and 8, again, if you don't know, the play-in 7 and 8, that's double elimination. The winner advances as a 7th seed. The loser plays the winner of 9 and 10. 9 and 10 is single elimination. So whoever wins tomorrow's tomorrow's games, they're out. They're done. No playoffs. They're gone. Cancun on 3, right? But the winner on Friday, they'll play the loser of 7 and 8. So again, I think Golden State wins tonight, and you'll get Golden State Houston. And I think Memphis, they fall down. I think Sacramento wins tomorrow. I think they beat Dallas, and you'll get on Friday Memphis versus Sacramento. I'm going for the upset. I think Sacramento upsets Memphis. Memphis is a good team, but they just been playing bad ball at the wrong time. Now they will have whoever they face. If they lose tonight, whoever they face, whether it's Dallas or Sacramento, they'll have home court advantage, so that plays into their favor because that's a tough environment. Memphis, FedEx Forum, that's a very tough environment to go in and win, especially when the stakes are what they are. So again, I'm going with the upset. I think Sacramento wins tomorrow, and they upset Memphis, and then they'll take on OKC. But if Memphis wins, you know that Memphis is a good team. They got Ja there; he's been playing unbelievable. They got Bane, they got Zach Edey, they got Jaren Jackson Jr. Very, very good team. Scottie Pippen, very good team. So I could see that happening. Now, in the second round or first round, let me give you. I'm trying to give you the path to the Lakers, a potential path for the Lakers to get to the finals. In the second round, I think they're going to face Golden State, which means I think Golden State is going to upset the 2-seeded Houston Rockets. That'll be a 7-2 matchup, right? And I think Golden State's going to beat them. Um, I don't think Houston is ready for that, right? And I think with the experience and as good as Golden State's been playing, Houston's been playing really, really well as well. But I think that ends. I think they're a regular season team. I don't think that carries over into the playoffs. I don't see them beating Golden State. So now, if Golden State loses tonight, and which means they'll fall down to the A seed if they win on Friday, they'll fall down to the A seed. You get Golden State versus OKC. I can even see Golden State upsetting. Okay, that's how high I'm on Golden State. I could see them upsetting OKC in the first round, right? But again, I think they win tonight. I think they beat Houston, which means if the Lakers win their series against Minnesota, guess what you get in the conference semis? The second round, you're going to get Golden State versus the Lakers. That's the matchup you're going to get there. I think that's going to be a hell of a matchup. I think that matchup could go 7 games, but I think the Lakers win that series. I do. Now, on the other side of the bracket, again, I think the Clippers beat Denver in 6 or 7. I think that series goes the distance. It's going to be a tight series. I think they beat Denver, and which means in the second round, they'll get OKC, right? They'll get OKC. If OKC plays Memphis or Dallas or Sacramento, I think they beat them. I think they could potentially sweep whoever they're playing, whoever it is. Maybe Memphis makes a series, but Dallas or Sacramento, I think that's a sweep for OKC. And again, second round, you'll get OKC versus the Clippers, right? Again, if the Clippers beat Denver. And I could see the Clippers upsetting OKC there. I could really see that. So if the Lakers come out in the second round, they get past Golden State 6 or 7. The Clippers get past OKC in 7. I'd say 7. Then you can get that battle of LA finally in the Western Conference Finals, right? You'll get Clippers versus Lakers, and I think that'll be a great series, 6 or 7 as well. But of course, I got the Lakers coming out, and on the East, I'm not even going to get into it because it's Boston. Boston's coming out the East, and we'll get Lakers versus Celtics in June. That's the matchup that we're going to get for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks in June. And to be honest, I think Boston's the only team that can beat the Lakers in 7. But let's see if we get that marquee matchup. So you'll get Clippers Nuggets. That's a big matchup. You'll get Lakers Warriors in the second round. That's a big matchup. OKC versus Clippers, or even if it's Denver, that's a big matchup. Then you get the battle of LA, Lakers versus Clippers. In my thinking or my hypothetical, you'll get that. That's a big matchup. And then of course you end it with Lakers Celtics. But even if OKC does get through to the conference finals, you get Lakers versus OKC. That'll be crazy. You saw the shapings of that, during the final week of the season. How good that matchup looked, right? In that second game. The first game, Lakers dominated, but that second game. So again, there's a lot of basketball to be played. It's all gonna play itself out, but that's my path to the finals for the Lakers. Uh, Beat Minnesota, then Golden State, and then the Clippers, and then Boston. So there it is. Now, also another reminder: if Houston does lose in the second round to Golden State or to whoever, then the Lakers get home court advantage in the second round as well. So there's that there. They'll be the next highest seed under OKC. So, and then if OKC loses, the Lakers could have home court advantage all the way throughout the playoffs, at least the Western portion of it. Um, and the only two teams on the East side that'll have home court over the Lakers in the finals is Cleveland and Boston, right? Which one of those teams definitely is coming out. But I think it's Boston. I think you'll get Cleveland and Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know. Cleveland, I got to see it. I got to see it to believe it. No, again, this is no takeaway from what they've done, but during the regular season, but I could potentially see them getting upset there, right? So there it is. That's the path to the finals. Again, the Lakers will game one will be on Saturday, 5:30, Saturday night, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. The rest of the schedule has not, it says to be determined. So it hasn't been revealed yet. So we'll wait and see how the rest of that plays out. But 16 wins. The Lakers are 16 wins away from winning 18. 16 wins away, tying Boston and winning championship 18. So let's go, man. Let's get after it. And after this series, that goes down to 12 games, right? Get these four against Minnesota, whether it's in 6, 7, or 5, or 4. Just get 4 by hook or by crook and cut that from 16 down to 12. Every time you see me, I'll have the count how many more we need. But that's all we got for you. Enjoy playing tonight, playing basketball. Again, I think right now they're tipping off. You got Atlanta and Orlando for the 7th seed. Loser, they'll get another crack of it for the 8th seed on Friday. And then you got Memphis and Golden State. That's the big game tonight. So enjoy that. And then tomorrow you got the 9 versus 10s, Dallas and Sacramento, and Chicago and Miami. So I think both of those games are going to be good. Chicago, Miami, I think that's going to be a really good one. But if I had to pick one in that one, give me Chicago. Give me Chicago. I like Chicago, the way that they can run. So give me Chicago to upset Miami in that one. And then I already said Sacramento. We're going to be watching that one, see what AD does, see if he can lead his troops. But that's it. We're way over our time, but it's playoffs, man. It's playoffs. So it is what it is. Oh, shout out to Luka Doncic, man, becoming the first international player to have the best-selling jersey in the NBA. Yeah, that's what Luka did. That's what Luka did. Now, there's the Luka on the that's what LA does for you. That's what the market does for you, and that's what the Lakers do for you. So him merging his brand with the Lakers brand, I think he's going to become the face of the NBA. You're starting to see it, especially, man. Imagine the Hollywood ending. Luka gets traded. He's hurt. He's sad. He's emotional about it. He thought he would be in Dallas forever. Bought a $15 million home in Dallas. And he was planning to play all his days in Dallas, finish his entire career there in Dallas. He gets traded out of nowhere, probably one of the biggest trades in NBA history, top 5 in NBA history. And imagine if he's able to come here and lead the Lakers to a championship. Lead the Lakers to a championship. Of course, he was in the finals last year, and of course, that's what Dallas said. They said that Luka, he didn't have what it took to lead them to a championship, to win a championship. He was just in the finals. And I know it wasn't really close. It was 6 games, but wasn't really that close. Not really. But it was against Boston. That's a hell of a team. Like Luka and Kyrie, I'm sorry. They have no business beating Boston. Well, I don't even think they had any business being in the finals, but Luka dragged them. Injured Luka, one-legged Luka dragged them, right? dragged them over this Minnesota team in 5, averaged 32 points against them, and dragged them into the playoffs, or sorry, into the championship. So imagine if Luka, what better Hollywood ending can there be? What better ending can there be for Luka? Him leading the Lakers back to the finals and beating Boston, the team that beat him and dominated him last year. He gets his sweet, sweet revenge. But anyways, shout out to him. The first uh, international player. He beat out Steph Curry. He beat out LeBron. That was 2 and 3. He beat out Tatum. He beat out all those guys, and he did with what he did. Uh, and I think he's going to be the face of the NBA, right? We pair him with the Lakers. And I think this is one sign of it, him having the highest rated jersey. And of course, that's the brand that LA is, that the Lakers are. And then when you have superstars changing teams, you see it a lot. But again, you got to give the man credit. First international player to do it. And I cannot wait to see Luka don that purple and gold in the playoffs, man. Let's get it. Let's go. Get hyped, Lakers Nation. 16 games away. It all begins on Saturday. So get ready, get ready, get ready. It's going down. All right, my time is up. I'm your boy, LOE, which stands for Lakers Over Everything. That's where you can find me at on all platforms. And we'll be here all postseason long. And yeah, make sure you guys tap in tomorrow. Again, we're here every day of the week. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So tap in right here on Bleach Report for Lakers Daily. Enjoy the playing games tonight. And yeah, we'll tap in with you guys on Thursday. I'll be back here on Thursday. Good night, man. Peace out.